Welcome back to r2tv, your favorite channel to learn about Radare. Today I'm gonna speak about r2pm, which is the package manager for Radare, and I plan to make a couple of videos. So this one is the shortest one, and you have a longest 20-minute video explaining the internals about how it's implemented and how to manipulate packages and so on. So let's focus on the tool. We are in the source directory of the project, and we can check with r2pm-h all the command line flags about r2pm. r2pm contains a database that is downloaded using the -u uppercase U command line flag to download the Git repository that contains all the package descriptions. We can run uppercase U, and then you will see that it's cloning the repo or updating it from there. We can cd, and then we'll see that this is actual git clone from this repo. If you want to contribute with new packages, just clone that, make a fork, and push your new packages or updates from there. But as you can see, this directory contains a single directory with all the packages descriptions inside. Let's investigate with some of them, like for example r0, and you will see that the package description contains the beginning. We can change the file type to shell, and the beginning of the package is r2pm begin. Then we have r2pm end, which is the header and the footer, and then there is some fields like r2pm git desk and some functions like install and uninstall. The git description explains which is the URL to clone the directory. There is a second optional argument that we can say if we want to clone this repository into a separate directory. And this is the directory that will be used for building and running the install and uninstall functions. Then we have the description, and there is other fields like r2pm needs, r2pm uses, etc. So for example, the need one will be checking for tools in the command line in the path environment. So for example, if the Kai package depends on curl, you will need to use r2pm needs. The r2pm will fail if this tool is not installed there. Then you have r2pm depends that will say, for example, that r0 package depends on the Kai. So it will be installing the Kai before installing this package. So it's a very simple package manager that works on every single system. And as you can see, the syntax is very similar to shell script. But the thing is that this was written in C for portability reasons. And in order to make this thing work on Windows and other systems that don't have a POSIX shell, I had to basically implement new fallback functions like install Windows and uninstall Windows. These couple of functions will be executed if you're running r2pm on Windows. So the thing is that you have, for example, r2pm deps that specifies that the r2gidra package depends on the slate one, and it will be executing these batch scripts. You can also run PowerShell lines, like for example in the Yara package, that will be running PowerShell -command and then this stuff. The non-Windows packages will be running the normal install and uninstall. So the thing is that as long as the script have the environments set, like for example the $make, $r2pm sudo, and r2pm prefix environments, it will be being able to execute that stuff. So let's see, for example, let's investigate which environment do we have for the r2pm. So we can run export here, and then we will run r2pm -ci r0. The -ci flag, you can check that in the command line help, and cleaned and installs the build. So it will be doing a clean git clone and then install the package. But you can also run -u to uninstall the package later. The -c is important because sometimes there is some changes in the git clone, so it's better to make like clean installs. And you can also use the uppercase -h and r2pm -h that will enumerate all the environment variables that are available in your r2pm packages. So in order to install a plugin that you have created using r2pm, you will need to use the r2pm plugdir that, depending on the -j flag, so you will see that there is -G, like in npm. It will be installing the package in your home, which is the default, or in the system-wide, using the standard user local or user prefix that will follow the one that you used when installing Radare. So there is other environments that make, for example, is a path to the GNU make. If you're running this on BSD, you will have the gmake. If you have sudo, you will get basically the path to the sudo executable. And there is other interesting environments like the dbdir or gitdir or giturl if you want to create another r2pm repository. But let's start with something simple, like replacing the installed package directory like this. So running r2pm-ci r0, it will be basically executing the export. You can see that there is a very simple package description, so you just need to learn how to use shell script. So in order to search for packages, r2pm will basically index all the package names and descriptions, so you can basically use r2pm-s to search for the packages, and this will be filtering for the name and description. But also we have another field that can be also useful if you create packages for Radare. So if you have a plugin like, for example, r2ghidra, the r2ghidra plugin, starting from the version 4.2, will have the package name field that basically tells Radare which is the package that contains this plugin. So if you want to update, for example, and you're running R2 without r2pm, you will see that you get an error message that tells you to install r2ghidra when you know which tool you need to run. Same goes if you're running a very old version of the package and it's not matching for the ABI version. It will be telling you which package name you need to install and update. And finally, if you're installing a package that contains some binaries, like for example Yara, you will see that if you go into the r2pm db and check the Yara package, you will see that this thing is basically copying a static linked version of the binary using running the install target, and won't be installing any library. So you end up having inside the prefix some binary. So if you don't wanna check, for example, in the prefix directory, this one, you can also use r2pm prefix to get that. So you can cd and use the backticks to go there. You will see that this is the prefix like in very standard Unix systems, like bin include libman. So if you check into bin and you want to execute this actual executable, you can run r2pm-r acr, and this will be basically changing the prefix and the ld library path to be able to execute that. So that's all. I will summarize the few flags that you need to know. So basically -ci to install, -u to uninstall, and uppercase U to initialize the database or update for new packages. And finally, you will need to use -s to search for keywords or -l to list the installed packages. So in my case, I can use -l and you will see all the packages that I have installed in this machine. And if you want to check for packages, like for example AI, you will get that all these packages contain the A text, like in the package name or in the description. I hope that you learned some new stuff, and don't forget to like and subscribe.